this project began when I was an assistant professor of government at Harvard University in 2009. At the time I was involved in a research project on the so-called Save Darfur Coalition. This was a social movement comprised of some 190 different advocacy organizations who sought to maintain awareness of violence perpetrated in the Darfur region of Sudan, and also were hoping to mobilize action on behalf of those suffering in Darfur. I was curious about the various ways that the coalition employed in order to create and sustain this movement over ultimately a period of 7 years. It was founded in the summer of 2004 and lasted until about 2011. So I was curious, what does it take to mobilize hundreds of thousands of Americans and others around the world to keep involved in the cause of Darfur? At around the same time, of course, there was a lot of talk about the power of social media as well as the pathologies thereof. So we then resolved to bring to bear social science on the study of this increasingly popular phenomenon that attracts interest from millions of users of social media around the world. We found that out of the approximately 1.2 million members of the Save Darfur cause on Facebook, only a relatively small number donated money to this particular cause, and only a very small number of members tried to recruit others into the cause. So the large majority of those who registered were relatively inactive. And this is quite surprising, especially because people tout the power of Facebook. So what accounts for this relative insignificance of the Facebook platform in support of the Save Darfur movement? Now, when it comes to explaining offline behavior in social movements, scholars have tended to suggest that strong ties are necessary to cement this movement. Now, Facebook, by definition, is primarily a weak ties instrument. If you just recall the kinds of friends that we make on Facebook, many of them are probably rather acquaintances, not so much friends. Now, while Facebook may also include strong ties with family members, for example, the largest share of the friends we make constitute weak ties. Now, this may be one explanation as to why the mobilization was relatively ineffective, because it doesn't actually create a strong sense of community.